Peace and blessings, family. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came in the person of Master Fraud Muhammad, witness that his exalted Christ and messenger is no other than the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we further believe that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is their divine servant, warner, and student in our midst. I'd like to greet you all with the greeting words of peace of Assalamu Alaikum here from the next generation here on the 7th Region Coalition platform. Today, we're going to be getting into the topic, where do we find our truth? And getting into the journalism side of how we can replace, how we put truth out to our people, and the platforms that we could create in which we're able to do that without censoring the words of truth that we need to be given to our people. So for everybody watching right now, hey, we have Sister Anisah here with us, who is a contributing writer in the Final Call newspaper, which basically means that she is a part of what it means to spread truth and establishing freedom, justice, and equality through a newspaper created by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan through the vision of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad given to him. And we'd like to thank you today, Sister Anisah, for being with us. And if you could please just tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you're located and just grow within this Final Call newspaper.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. Sister Anisah.
Wow, like
I'm now based here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a contributing writer to the Final Call newspaper. I'm a spoken word poet and author of 5 books, which are all found on Amazon. And I'm also the head of the Ministry of Information in the Southern Region under Southern Regional Student Minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad.
We apologize for that internet connection, people. Just give it a second to reconnect us in.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it seems like we're back in full action. Okay, can you start by giving us that description again? I think we may have had some connection
Yes,
issues,
sir.
but I heard you talk about you were an author, and can as well. Can you let the people know what kind of books you write? Just the topics and the subjects behind your books a little bit.
Yes, really, it's a variety of everything, really. The first book, Escaping the Chains, was a collection of articles published in the Final Call when I was 15, 16. That's when I started writing. Let's see, the second one, Chasing God, is a young adult fiction. So, if you have teenagers or for anyone that just still, likes to read fiction, that's what that's for. And then the third one is a children's book, Jewels to Jenna, really taking some of the principles and lessons that we learn in the nation, but putting it in a way that children can understand. Then the fourth one is actually solely an ebook. It's called How to Give Birth to an Ebook in 9 Easy Steps. So basically, just walking you through it's self-explanatory how to publish an ebook on any topic. And then the last one, actually my most recent book, is called Troubled Waters, and that's a poetry book, just a collection of some of the poems that I've written over the years.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. I thank you for expounding on your book topics, and that's a very accomplished list that you got there.
Yes.
Especially starting at that age, that is awesome. And I just like to ask you about some of your experiences with the Final Call newspaper. What sort of led you to being a writer, and just some of the things that you see. Well, first, I'll let you expound on that. Like just being a writer within the Final Call newspaper. What is that like?
Yes, sir. Well, really, it's well. First, I was like, it's a lot of pressure because basically the Final Call newspaper is, in my mind at least, is a newspaper owned and backed by God Himself.
Yes.
Of course, through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And so, with that, that's always at the forefront that this is God's newspaper, and so I have
Yes.
to write accordingly, act accordingly into like whatever processes that go along with the formation of an article or a story that I'm working on. That's
Right.
always at the back of my mind, and I'm always, every single article, I'm always praying to Allah that this article turns out to His standards because it's His newspaper.
And I think the difference of what some people may not know is that, when you're finding information for a newspaper that solely holds, its status on the truth, and putting the truth out to the people, that you can't just be like other journalists or people who write articles, because a lot of that is about finding the truth and being first, or not the truth, but finding information and be the first to find information, whether it's true or
Right.
false. But, with the Final Call, we should be able to understand the pressures of how hard it is to make sure that you're maintaining the absolute truth within every word of this newspaper. So, I could understand from that perspective how hard it is. And then you continue just with the process in which you work under that newspaper as well.
Right, yes, sir. And I was also gonna add not only this, but also just the standard of that the Black community has a lot of respect and trust in the Final Call newspaper, and I
Right.
sort of see that with even the people I interviewed, just the level of respect that's held for the Final Call. And so I know Brother Naba was telling us once about just that history, that level of respect, and that like we don't want to do anything to break the respect that our own people have for us. And so that alone just
That's
comes
true.
with a lot of pressure. I don't know if that fully answered your question, or
No, that was awesome. I
this
actually
was the second question that I didn't get to.
No, that is absolutely fine. I appreciate you going into that topic. And really, I had interviewed Brother Naba a few years back, and he was filled with what it meant to hold up the integrity of the Final Call newspaper, what it meant to him. And just from me personally, I know it's a lot of people who appreciate the articles of the Final Call newspaper because it is what we use to wake up the masses of our people. And so, we don't, when it comes to ownership of things, we don't necessarily have to suppress the truth when it comes to these topics that we talk about. And I want to know, sort of through the pandemic and spreading truth, when truth was being suppressed at its finest, online and on paper with other media and newspaper outlets. How was it, trying to find and dig through all the information that people were putting out, to be able to create these pages like the depopulation page that we have in the Final Call newspaper, or to expound on international news coming in and things of that nature? How is that process of getting to the information specifically through the pandemic?
Right, yes, sir. And that's an interesting question because that's like I started writing for the Final Call on a regular basis when
Mm,
the pandemic started, because I had just graduated college, looking for a job and everything. Of course, the
mm,
Final Call was there with open arms. Praise be to Allah.
thank you.
So that's when I started writing as a contributing writer on a weekly basis during the pandemic, and it's just seeing everything that was out there about not only, of course, the pandemic COVID-19, but just other topics. Of course, there's always the lies about the nation and the minister that's always out
Right.
there, no matter what time period we're in. And so I'm trying to think, like, I don't know. It's just, I guess, getting to the truth, or the verity of information is really about just, it's not even that hard because Google is at our fingertips. Like,
Yes.
it's really just about doing in-depth research, also looking at the context of things. A lot of people will, and you saw this with the COVID-19, now the pandemic, the vaccine too, where people would just share a 30-second clip of a context that's much bigger than just those 30 seconds. Like the speaker may have been speaking for maybe 5-10 minutes on that topic of that 30-second clip, but because we only see the 30-second clip, now we're thinking, oh, one thing, and it's actually another thing. And that's also what, of course, our enemies do to the Minister Louis Farrakhan,
That's
taking his messages out of context. And we've seen some of those most popular lies about him just because you took a 5, 10 minute, 30-minute lecture or message and you turned it into a 30-second soundbite that just
right.
spread all over the world. And so I think it's really just about paying attention to what's actually being said and looking at the context and putting things in the proper context of where they should be at. And also, I guess related to specifically COVID-19, the vaccine, I mean, also just looking at history, because that's really where I guess the basis of the nation's stance, or part of our stance, comes from, is that historical look at what was done to Black people historically,
That's
medical abuse historically, medical apartheid historically. And so just looking at, sharing the truth about the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, but going beyond that, as uh, it's always stated to go beyond Tuskegee, looking at, I did a recent article in the Final Call on medical abuse, and it was looking at, maternal mortality. It was looking at how white people still have these perceptions of us medically, that we don't get the same treatment when we're in pain that white people may get. Like we don't get the same sort of
yeah.
medicines that they may get because you're not really in pain, you're Black.
Yeah.
And
Come on.
so just not only just looking at the historical and current abuses and then applying that to today in terms of you shouldn't get the vaccine because this, that. So
That's
yes,
Oh, thank you for that. And just, uh, fighting through what it meant to establish truth when, we got uh, a large surrounding of falsehood mixed with truth. And, this being the source for our people, uh, just, I just want to let the people know that just the importance of ownership, that you don't have to compromise or get that word down from somebody in the office that isn't even involved with the strategies and tactics of the company. And that's why it's so important for us to come together. And if we don't like the information that we're getting or how we're perceived in the media, then we should just create our own outlets of media. And I think, through time, there's a nice opportunity and vision to expand just that Final Call platform. And of course, it's the Final Call radio. And then, ongoing, I think that it should be able to reach out to social media with videos and things of that nature to be able to reach out to our people. So in doing that, the operations behind the Final Call newspaper when it comes to establishing our own, can you sort of take us through a walkthrough of whatever you could think of the top of your head, different positions that you see within the Final Call newspaper that make it what it is as a collaborative effort to push out truth?
right, yes, sir. So, of course, there's the editor in chief. Then you have the managing editor, Sister Starla, and then staff writers, other, the senior editor, other people in that editing role that helps with, the proofreading of the paper. You have contributing writers like myself. You also have, of course, the designers who actually lay out the paper, design that front page that we see, design of course, like I said, the cover, design, put the images together, text layout, all of that. And so you have those designers and layout people. But then you also have the back end of the people that's behind, like the sales of it, the marketing of it. Social media, of course, is one aspect. Putting the paper on or putting the articles up on the finalcall.com website and also the digital edition. You have I forgot his title. um, Basically just the managing the person that manages, the entire thing.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And then, like I said, the sales team, marketing team, distribution team, the people that take complaints from customers. So really, just all of that goes into it.
Wow.
Of course, I'm only involved in the actual, writing, editing, proofreading part of it. So that's really the side that I see. But there's a whole back end too.
Definitely. It seems like there's a lot of positions that go into the operation of one thing. And I think once we're able to figure out all the positions that are needed and understand that we have uh, young people who are just ready to be graphic designers and a world full of young Black writers who
Mm.
want to voice their opinion and bring truth and information to our people. And the ministry of information is so important because it feeds to every other ministry, regardless of what it is. Because without the proper information given to be able to establish these ministries or to be able to lead our people into the right mental aspect that it takes to establish these ministries, then the ministry of information has to be on point. Uh,
Right.
and Brother Tony Muhammad helped us out a little bit here. He said General Manager Abdul Rasul. So,
Yes.
okay, see,
So
man.
it would split my mind, but yeah.
Yes, man. Brother Tony down here, he's a very key part in everything that goes down here in the seventh region. I want to give him a shout out on this show and thank him for watching. And um, you'll never be able to tell. He's always a part of this next generation, regardless of what age Brother Tony is. Man, he has a youthful spirit, and um, that's what we're trying to do with this show is instill the youthful spirit and motivate people who have given up on this next generation to think
Mm.
that all we can be is what we see on TV. And we just appreciate young sisters like you being available to come and help spread this truth on this network. Uh,
Yes.
and- yes, ma'am. And through seeing what you've said so far, when it comes to what we talk about with uh, is there any type of restrictions that anybody outside forces that try to bring down the operation of the nation within the Final Call newspaper? Have you maybe heard or seen anything within being involved that you all sort of had to fight through just any laws, regulations, or anything like that?
Right. Well, really, the only thing I've seen, not necessarily pertain to the Final Call itself, but I know the Final Call store was having some problems, especially related to the technology, because a lot of times we don't own the technology behind some of our websites and platforms, and so the actual owner of those can come in and say, hey, this, that, and that, or hey, we have a new set of policies you have to operate under. And so I know there was a situation with that, and they worked to resolve it, worked to find a different a different back end technology for to host not only the store, but also just when you go to the NOI.org media page and you see all of those videos. Of course, YouTube has been deleting accounts, taking videos off, and so just owning platforms like that where we can put our own content up without anyone interfering. So that's really just not necessarily with the Final Call itself, but just some of those some of the technology, the websites and that sort of thing.
Wow. See, that actually opens up my mind to just thinking about how all the ministries tie in. We talk about the Ministry of Technology and Science. Um, it's like, man, so that's really like an optimization of everything that we see going on in these other ministries, because you guys can maximize what it means to give information to uh,
Right.
the Ministry of Health, or Ministry of Trade and Commerce, or give the right information and optimize it in the world that we're living in without the proper technology. And so I'm glad that you brought that up, so that we can see as a people that we need all of these aspects going on, because everything in our community will involve that engine that we own and we run and manage and operate to create opportunities for our people. Um, and is there any sort of like outlets where if people wanted to reach out and see what it means to be a part of the Final Call newspaper, or they got a section within their town that they want to show as progressive within our community? Is there any way that people are able to do that?
Right, yes, sir. I know, well, at least I know back then, but now I had a open email policy. I don't know if that's changed now, or I would say really just contact anyone that you know who is helping in any aspect of the final call, and then we can be able to get you that contact information and everything. And I know you can also follow the final call on social media. I know recently they were putting out the advertisement of graphic designers, layout people, and that sort of thing. And so, really, just also following the final call and seeing if there's any of those opportunities available where you can send your resume in and apply, and just get started in that aspect. As far as writing, you know it's like I said, it's really just an open submission policy from my understanding, and so and that's really how I started. So,
Yes.
and I know they do have there's specific sections that you can submit to if you wanted to, like there's sister space now, the you speak section, which is how I started writing for the final call, and that's gradually coming back a few times. And so you'll see with those, you'll see like the writer's email, and then you can email them whatever you would want to email, or if you have a story in mind or a future that you want to someone that's doing positive things in the community that you think would be good to shine a spotlight on. So some of those writers, they'll have their email or their contact at the bottom of the article. um, I think that's about it. But yes, sir. I hope that answered the question.
No, thank you for that. It definitely does. And if you can sort of walk people through, people who are interested in writing, getting involved, maybe even creating their own outlet of,
Mm.
pushing out truth to the people. As a writer, what is your process in completing an article and sort of your search for truth, what you're looking for? There's so much information out there. I mean, it could get kind of crazy, just even
Yes, sir.
being able to do this, even researching one person is something, that's, you got to figure out what they're about, the things that they've implemented into the world to help them expound on their own thoughts, and then thoughts surrounding their topics. And that's for one person. So when it comes to finding pieces of information that you're going to write on, what process and steps do you take toward that completion?
Yes, sir. Now, I'm having you ask this question because a lot of people don't realize the amount of work it takes just for one article.
That's right.
Um, so really, and it starts with that research process. Usually, my editors are the ones that usually give me the topic and just like a basic paragraph of what they're looking for. So then it's up to me to determine how to interpret that, who to find as sources, who to talk to, what
Mm.
information we might need. So really, it starts with that research process. Depending on what the topic is, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a recent example. Where if you look at the current edition of the Final Call, there's a piece in there about Red Summer and about the current attacks of white on black sort of violence that's been happening recently in like May, June,
Hmm.
July, August. And so if you look at that current edition, I had to research, Red Summer and really getting the facts on, these are the amount of people that may have been killed, so and so and so.
Hmm.
It, these are the amount of cities that Red Summer affected in 1919.
Wow.
A lot of historians trace it from 1917 to 1923 regarding all the different massacres that was occurring during that time period. So that's sort of historical fact checking, but also statistics are always a part of, a lot of the articles that we do looking up,
Right.
if it's a article on black businesses, these are the this percent of black businesses exist in America. This is the amount that existed back then, So looking up that sort of like first historical information, statistics,
Mhm.
also like I said, at the finding the actual people. That's really the most difficult, time consuming part. I would say not only just finding them, but also, waiting for them to get back or, if they're even available to talk to. And so, in finding people, just looking at their, like you said, each person's background. I also look at their social media, like what are you tweeting about? What are you posting about?
Right.
Is it something that would add to the article that I'm working on? Um, if it's a lot of times we'll try to contact like college professors. So, what kind of classes you teach, what subjects or what research subjects have you published that can possibly aid in this article that we're working on. And so really just all of that goes into it. Yeah, like research, finding out the history, the current statistics or the most current statistics that's available, finding the right people, and that of course all of this occurs before the interviewing, transcribing, writing process.
Thank you. It sort of just shows me that to do this thing alone is very strenuous on a person, and it can weigh heavy on the pressure of doing it. But showing established businesses like the Final Call newspaper, to where you have a team of people who are looking for the newest information or topics on that information to pass down to researchers to lead them in the right direction, just lets you know that um, we can bring these minds together to make it easier for ourselves. It's you could rather go through all 5 steps or just take 2 of the steps for yourself, another step for somebody else, and 2 for another department. Uh, and I thank you for expounding on what those departments are, and also giving us some insight on, as a writer, what you can look forward to make your job easier. And it's not an easy job, but there are ways to definitely make it easier. And is there anything that you would just like to tell the people that um, you may be starting an endeavor in or getting into, what you have established, or may be able or maybe putting out anytime recent, anything you want to update the people on for anything that you have going on?
Right. I don't really have, and I'll get this question too in person. Like people would ask me, like, "Do you have anything you're working on?" I'm like, "No." So I don't really have anything personal as of yet, or ever since I launched my poetry book, I haven't started any sort of new projects or anything. Just the Final Call, working with the Ministry of Information, and trying to get some of those initiatives and projects off the ground. I can go into a little bit about that, but currently with the Ministry of Information, we recently launched a Nine Ministries newsletter that can go out to people who are interested in what's going on in the Southern region as far as the Nine Ministries are concerned. And really just, this ministry is having this event on so and so, and then we'll send out inspirational quotes and that sort of thing. And then we're also assisting Southern Regional Student Minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad on a podcast association where basically just uniting all of the different podcasts in the nation under one umbrella and forming just like a one-stop shop of,
That's
for
right.
instance, if you want to listen to Next Generation podcasts, here's the information available. If you want to listen to the Rise Magazine podcast or NMB News, we just like have those episodes available for people to readily access the information being given on these airwaves. And so
Oh,
that's one thing that we're working on. And we can talk more if you all would like to be a part. But yes, sir. So I don't really have anything personal, really just a lot of nation type
mhm.
activity going on.
Wow. Then no, that was actually see, I didn't know the exact operation behind that. I had been given word about it, but that's honestly what we've been taught to do. So we might, if anything, we might as well bring everything together and make a network of our own where you can go and dive into a work of truth, because you could dive into a network of distractions on Netflix. You ought to be able to dive into a network of truth to where you can choose different outlets and different people with different topics and podcasts, and enjoy a media platform like that. Um, and so, I think I'll just talk personally with you about that and what you all
Right,
have
yes,
on
sir.
it, how to get more information on that. But um, other than that, I just want to thank you for taking the extra time to expound on your role and uh, uh, a newspaper outlet like the Final Call, and what it means to be a writer, and to fight for our freedom, justice, and equality on paper, that goes out to all of our people. So I thank you for sharing that reality with us and opening up
Yes,
the
sir.
minds to any of the people in this next generation that may be interested in writing. Seek your own people, and first seek yourself, because if the doors don't open for you, there's always outlets and ways that you've created with yourself. And I hope that everybody here has learned something that would allow them to do that. And so I thank you all for joining us. If you haven't already, or drop a like on the live, and share this information, and please support the channel if you could, with the banner below. And um, you know, we will see you all again here on the Next Generation. It will be airing every Tuesday and Saturday. Regardless, I may be going into the Final Call newspaper myself. And so we want to thank you. Is there anything you want to leave the people with before we go?
Oh, I guess I can leave a quote by the minister.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
really have anything of myself to add, but I found this quote because when you sent me the topic, it would be on truth. Then of course I looked up the minister's words, and so let me see. Well, first he defined what truth is, and saying truth is a true or actual state of a matter, conformity with fact or reality, a verified or indisputable fact, proposition, principle, or the like, the state or character of being true, actuality or actual existence. And then he said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that everything in this universe was created in truth and with truth. There is nothing false in Allah's entire creation. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught me that the human being is created with the same truth that he himself is of. Allah created us according to the Holy Quran in Surah 4 Al Nisa, the women, verse 1, from a single essence and created our mates of the same kind. That single essence is the essence of God Himself. So just wanted to read that short quote on and also just related to our potential as Black people to rise into our own godhood and operate under truth. So yes, sir.
Thank you for going into the words of our teacher and guide, and that's the best source of information that I think that this world can go and seek. Seek a video, seek a book, or video from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Seek a book from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Take those two mindsets and bring the God out of yourself, and that special gift and talent that Almighty God has put into us. And with that note, I'd like to thank you all for joining us here on the Next Generation podcast. We will see you soon. Peace and blessings, family, and assalamu alaikum.